Good morning. Good morning. Gosh, it's nice to see all of you again. Before I tell you a little bit about my YAV experience, I just want to say a word of huge thanks to Grace Church. You all made my YAV year possible, not only because of your financial generosity, but in the way that this church helped teach me to be someone who cares about helping others. Through Grace's commitment to our partnerships in Nablus and Tri-Cities and Honduras, through our volunteer days feeding the hungry and filling backpacks for the homeless, this church has always led by example. During my YAV year, not a week went by that I didn't hear from somebody at Grace. I want you to know that I kept every single letter, and I cherished them and reread them when I needed extra strength. Your words and prayers and notes kept me looking forward to this day when I could see all of you again and say, I did it, thanks to you. Going into my YAV year, I had very few concrete expectations. After living inside of my laptop during my senior year, during COVID, I knew I was ready for hands-on work. I wanted to help people, and I wanted to find a community of like-minded people who would challenge me to grow. I can now say with confidence that those hopes have come true. I saw the positive impact of my work at my work site placement, and in my YAV community, I found a family away from home. The four of us New Orleans YAVs, Sarah, Lena, Cassie, and myself, shared a house in a neighborhood close to the French Quarter. We each had a different worksite assignment. Sarah worked at a community garden. Lena worked at an after-school program tutoring kids who mostly speak Spanish. And Cassie worked at a public library for their adult tutoring program. I worked at Eden House, which served women who have survived human trafficking. Over the course of the year, our YAV group came to depend on each other, sharing meals each evening and supporting each other through the challenges of the year. We had Bible studies together, and once a month we had the opportunity to venture outside of the city for volunteer projects serving areas devastated by recent hurricanes. During our orientation week, Lena, Cassie, Sarah, and I sat down and wrote a covenant that would guide us for the year. Besides laying out our chore schedules and grocery routines and COVID procedures, we also included a preamble that set our intention to make our household a loving and grace-filled community, acknowledging the presence of the Holy Spirit among us. We followed through on our covenant, and through vulnerability, curiosity, and honesty, a true community was formed. Beyond the bonds that we formed in our YAV home, the biggest thing I'll take with me from my year is the relationships I formed with the residents at Eden House. As I said in my previous video message, these are women who have experienced complex traumas starting at a young age. That they have made the 2-year commitment to Eden House's program is a victory in itself. Most of the residents of Eden House are recovering from addiction, and during my time there, we had a few residents relapse back into drug use. The first time it happened, my reaction was shock and anger. Working with these residents closely every day, we come to know each other pretty well, and I found myself feeling betrayed when residents left the program due to relapse. However, over the course of the year, I learned a lot about addiction. I came to accept that relapse is often a natural part of the recovery process. The most recent time it happened, the resident called us 3 days later, wanting to get clean again and ready to recommit to our program. I realized that for the first time, I wasn't angry that she had relapsed. The only thing that I cared about was that she was safe. At some point in the year, I realized that the most important thing I can give them, besides their living stipends, trips to Walmart, and a working thermostat, is a caring and empathetic ear. I was able to make space for the women to voice their frustrations and fears and their proud moments too, because they came to know that I really care. Before I left, the residents organized a small goodbye celebration, and it meant more to me than any praise I received all year for my work. The year surprised me in terms of the depths of the relationships I formed and the spiritual change I felt within myself. My YAV community and my work at Eden House pushed me to grow up. I formed good habits that will stick with me, like thinking about others before myself and spending less and sharing more, listening before speaking and doing instead of complaining. I will take with me the knowledge that I'm both stronger and more sensitive than I realized, and that both can be true at the same time. Maybe sensitivity can even be a strength. I'll also take with me the realization that at the beginning of the year, I set down a path that I hope to continue to walk for the rest of my life. I had a vague notion that I wanted to help others, but this year helped me see how deep and systemic the problems really are in our society, and therefore how hard you have to work in order to actually help others. I'm still not sure exactly what direction I want to go in, but I feel like I'm off to a good start.